live tonight on the Revealed Radio Network. Here we are on the Revealed Report. Welcome to the Revealed Report. I am your host, John Wilson. Today, we want to begin the Revealed Report with giving honor to the legacy of Charlie Kirk. We are so thankful for what Charlie Kirk has done for the conservative side of the aisle, especially with reaching many young people and bringing them to conservative principles, even to Christian principles. And we've seen at the death of Charlie Kirk, at the assassination, the murder of Charlie Kirk, that there were many that started going to church because of that. And so we are very grateful for the life and the legacy of Charlie Kirk. And this very day, Charlie Kirk has posthumously received a Medal of Honor from the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Now, I'm so grateful that Donald Trump, as busy as he is, took time out of his busy schedule to honor and to recognize Charlie Kirk. He is truly a patriotic American hero. And we want to say that we are praying for Erica Kirk. We are praying for Turning Point USA. We are praying for Charlie's parents. We are praying for all of those that were affected by this hideous act of violence against him, because somebody on the radical left thought that the only way to silence the voice is to pick up a gun, which the radical left always preaches against guns until they want to use it against their political opposition, chose to take a gun and began to murder Charlie Kirk in hopes that it would silence us on the right. But as you can see, it did not silence us at all. As people are beginning to rise up, people are going to church, people are beginning to speak out. And I thank God for that. Now, I am grieved that because the radical left has lied so much to people and began to produce this vacuum by telling people that we are just pushing conspiracy theories all the time. All throughout the COVID-19 madness, they said everything was a conspiracy theory. If you question whether COVID came from the Wuhan lab in China, or if you question whether America was funding it with tax dollars, you were claimed to be a conspiracy theorist. But we found out that in 8 months, the truth would come out and the conspiracies were actually fact. But unfortunately, now there are some on the right that like to use that for grifting clickbait, because there is a fine line. There's a hair's breadth between true leadership and manipulation. Every leader has the potential of being a manipulator, and every manipulator has the potential of being a leader, because both influence people. It's just a matter of how you're influencing the people. And there are some on the right, like Candace Owens, that were great influences to people to bring them into conservative principles. But they have become so large and they found out how to use the game to manipulate people to get more clickbait and to get more likes and to get more followers and to begin to build a cult around them, to the point that because so many people does not trust the government anymore, now there's grifters on the right using that to try to turn people into a place where we question everything. And it's no different than the postmodernists that wanted to question everything and deconstruct the system from within. Now we are seeing it even among some on the right. They are even claiming that TPUSA turned their back on Charlie Kirk, and this was an inside hit job, and it was funded by Israel. And maybe even Erica Kirk was involved in the assassination of her own husband. It's really sickening. So here on the Revealed Report, we are not going down the road of those type of conspiracy theories. We want to be balanced in the middle. We don't listen to the radical left that tells us that everything we're saying is conspiracy theories. Neither are we also going to become grifters on the right that are actually going to peddle real conspiracy theories just to try to get clicks and try to get people to follow us and more subscribers. We want to be true to the truth. And there are some that claim to be fighting for truth, but really they learn how to manipulate people. They are intelligent enough to play on people and to manipulate them. So today we are not going to peddle those conspiracy theories. Instead, we are praying for Erica Kirk. We are praying for Turning Point USA, and we are praying for those that have been grievously affected by the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And our whole nation was affected by it. It was not just an attack on Charlie Kirk, even though it was that. We don't want to relegate that to being anything less than what it was. It was also an attack on America. It was an attack on America's principles of freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And we can see that there are those that have risen up that want to silence that voice. But we must speak, even in the midst of troublous times, even in the midst of dangerous times, because if the truth is not spoken, nobody will ever receive it. And so we cannot cower in silence. So today we take a moment to honor the legacy of Charlie Kirk. And we want to say thank you, Erica Kirk and TPUSA, for continuing on that legacy. Thank you, President Donald Trump, for taking time out of your busy schedule to award Charlie Kirk the Medal of Honor. Now, I want to talk about how gold is at an all-time high and what that really means in the world and in America. Because I know anybody who has invested in gold is saying, hey, man, this is great. My gold value is going up. That's more money for me. But because gold is going up and has skyrocketed to a record breaking point, that actually tells us something that's bad going on inside of the world. Something is falling apart. And I put out a Revealed Dispatch article today for which I want to read because it is a good consolidated way to present it to you. And that Revealed Dispatch article was entitled, When Gold Glitters Too Bright, What Rising Gold Prices Really Mean for America, which, by the way, I had somebody listening to my Revealed report, I think it was yesterday, that made mention about my hairline making me look like I'm about 60 years of age. Today, I am wearing a hat only because I'm not feeling too good. So I was being lazy and I didn't feel like fixing my hair, the little bit of hair I have. But to help my friend out, I am wearing one of our Revealed Radio Network hats. And soon, if you like this merch, you'll be able to purchase it yourself. Just put that plug right in there. But the Revealed Dispatch article I want to read, and I quote, a sign of strength or systemic fear. Gold has just hit historic highs per ounce, breaking records once thought unreachable. To the casual observer, that might sound like good news, but in reality, gold doesn't rise because of strength, it rises because of fear. When investors and nations run to gold, it's not because confidence is high. It's because faith in the dollar, in governments, and in global stability is low. Gold becomes a shelter when the world around it starts shaking. What we are witnessing right now is not merely an economic trend, it's a global warning signal that the financial and moral foundations of nations are being tested. Let's talk about the dollar dilemma. For decades, the US dollar has been the world's reserve currency, the standard by which oil, trade, and global exchange were measured. But in recent years, that dominance has been quietly eroding. The BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and new members like Saudi Arabia have been moving toward gold backed trade agreements. Now, I want to talk about this because this is also going to tie into the AI race that I want to talk about tonight as well. They are deliberately working to weaken the dollar's influence. They understand that globalism Washington refused to admit. A nation that abandons fiscal discipline, moral restraint, and national sovereignty cannot hold the world's trust forever. The rise in gold prices isn't just a market correction. It's a vote of no confidence in Western financial systems that are drowning in debt, printing money, and preaching climate religion while ordinary citizens can't afford groceries. The spiritual parallel. The Bible speaks often of gold, not as an idol, but as a test of purity. The trial of your faith being much more precious than of gold that perisheth. 1 Peter 1:7. When faith in God and truth declines, people start looking for something tangible to trust, whether that's government, digital currency, or shiny metal. In essence, we're watching a spiritual economy mirror the natural one. Just as the dollar is losing its value due to corruption and manipulation, so too is truth being devalued in our culture. The world is hoarding gold because it no longer knows where to place its faith. But for the believer, our trust is not in the Federal Reserve. It's in the Lord, who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. So what does it mean to us that gold is skyrocketing? If you see gold soaring, remember, it means the system is under pressure. It means inflation and debt are being masked, not solved. It means our nations are preparing for a post-dollar world. And it means America must repent and return to the principles that made her prosperous: faith, honesty, hard work, and accountability. Owning some gold may be wise, but owning a solid foundation of biblical truth and discernment is priceless. When the systems of men crumble, the kingdom of God remains unshaken. Gold's metric rises when it rises is a message written in metal. The world is losing trust in man's money, and God is calling his people to invest again in eternal values. When nations panic, the faithful prepare, not in fear, but in faith. Because when the markets fail, truth still holds its value. And so we see that gold is on an all-time rise, but there's also another danger that's going on as well. While people are losing confidence in the West and our financial structure, and while there are many countries that are trying to get away from the US dollar, we also see that there's an AI race going on right now as we speak. China and America is racing towards the AI. Other countries are involved, but China and America are in an AI race. It's just like the arms race. It's just like during the Cold War between Russia and America. There is an AI race going on. And I understand the dangers of AI. I understand the danger of singularity that's taking place with artificial intelligence. I understand that many people fear AI. And I want to talk about the balance of not fearing AI, but also at the same time, not becoming a slave to AI. Because America is in a crossroads, but we have been in crossroads before. The world is at a crossroad time frame, but the world has been in crossroads before. This is not the first revolution we have ever seen. We went through the Industrial Revolution. We've been through several revolutions, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But America and the world is definitely in a crossroads, and we don't have to fear the moment. We need to know how to handle the moment, because there are two extremes. There's the one side that's on the conservative side of the aisle, for which I am as well, that is so afraid of AI that we want to run from it. But that's a dangerous tool to enslave us down the road. That wants our children not to learn AI or anything of the sort, just push it all away. And that is dangerous in itself. On the other hand, there are those that fully embrace AI without any safety mechanisms in place. And what happens is we can become a slave to the machine. We can become a slave to the systems of artificial intelligence. And there is this concern. How do we balance this oncoming AI world? Because whether you like it or I like it, AI is coming just like the internet came. There were so many people that were afraid of the internet and they didn't want anything to do with the internet, but now they're using the internet. And yes, the internet has great, grave danger. As a matter of fact, many people have become dehumanized and they dehumanize others because of internet. Now, because of social media and because of our technology, many people hide behind the tech veil and they treat each other like animals and sometimes like Christy Gnome dogs. By the way, I support Christy Gnome, but people will begin to dehumanize one another because when we're not sitting across the table from one another, and this is why Charlie Kirk was going down into college universities and having dialogue and debate with them, because then we realize we're both human beings. We may not agree with each other. We may vehemently disagree with each other, but we both breathe. We both have hearts. We both have lives. We both have emotions. Many of us have families. We have jobs. We have a living that we have to provide. We're just trying to live our lives. We're not trying to bother everybody else. The mass majority of people are just trying to live their lives. But we find that there are things we must be able to speak on. In America, it's beautiful. We have the table of reasoning and the table of dialogue and the table of debate where everybody gets to bring their ideas to the table and we get to communicate with one another and treat each other like human beings. On the conservative right, we who believe in the Bible believe in honor all men and love the brotherhood. We believe there's a balance that we can attack ideas without attacking people because somebody's ideas is going to win. And those ideas is what's going to control policy, public policy, politics, education. It's going to control corporations. It's going to control the institutions of America, and it's going to influence the institutions of the world because America has great influence on the world. And so what we allow here will begin to spread out. And so therefore, everybody should bring their ideas to the table and we should debate them out intellectually and see which ideas bring the greater good. Instead of just camping out into our little parties, we ought to be able to come to the table, negotiate, reason, debate, dialogue, have our discussions, and let the greater good win. To the best man or lady be the winner, unless that offends you because you go by some other pronoun. But to the best man or lady be the winner, because we should be able to come together and dialogue and debate. Charlie Kirk understood that people are treating each other like animals. And so he would go down and actually communicate with them. And after having a civilized debate and sometimes a passionate debate, there's nothing wrong with that. He would treat them with respect. We believe in that. No matter how much we vehemently disagree, we're going to treat you with respect. Now, yes, we have fun on this revealed report. Yes, we make some puns. Yes, we have a little bit of comical sense of humor because once upon a time we weren't all uptight and offended by everything and things were funny, and humor has laughter is a medicine. We should be able to laugh. And yes, sometimes laughing means at one of our expense, kind of like my hairline that makes me look at like 60 in my late 30s. But we should be able to go back to a time frame where we don't have to resort to violence. I tell my sons, that when you have to resort to being violent with one another, that is not a sign of strength. That's a sign of weakness. You are weak if you can't communicate with one another. If you no longer can communicate and you have to resort to physical force, you have lost the argument and you're showing weakness. You must be able to sit down, dialogue, debate, and discuss and somehow reason it out. In America, our technology has allowed many of us to hide behind the tech veil because we're not sitting across the table from one another. We're not seeing the human heartbeat and the actual life there and understand that that person has feelings and emotions too. And so, therefore, we become inhumane towards one another to the point that we'll enact violent activity on one another. All because we don't agree on ideas. Now, I'm not saying that our ideas are unimportant. They're very important, extremely important. We need to battle those ideas out. The truth of the matter is, we are at a political, spiritual, and ideological battle, whether we want to be in that battlefield or not. There is a battle of ideas that are taking place. And we who believe in the Bible believe that it's ultimately a spiritual battle that's being played out in the battle of the mind, that's being played out in the battle of ideas and doctrines and philosophies. And yes, that battle is going to take place and somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose in areas. And we're going to influence people based on those ideas. And so everybody has the right to come to the table and battle those ideas out. And that's why everybody has the ability to the freedom of the press. Today, the freedom of the press is social media. Today, the freedom of the press is YouTube and Rumble and Facebook, for which we're live on all three of those right now. And it's the ability to go and put out your ideas out there and let somebody see it and try to convince others. We are in a political, spiritual, and ideological battlefield. Except for that battlefield was never intended to become a physical battlefield where we resort to violence. When we do that, it shows that America is weak and we need to come back to being strong again. We don't need to be caught up in all of our emotional feelings that we begin to lash out at other people. That is weakness. And the Bible says that the meek shall inherit the earth. Meekness is not weakness. Meekness is when you have the ability to cause harm to somebody, but you restrain yourself, because that is the most strongest position you can take, is when you have the ability to exert that violence, but you restrain yourself from doing it. And it takes men and women of strength to be able to do that. And I believe that America is struggling with that because we are digressing away from the principles of God and God's word, and we are beginning to flip the whole system upside down. And I think we're going into a very, very dangerous and violent place. Now, it's not the first time America's ever been in a dangerous and violent place. We were in a dangerous place in the 1960s. America was in a dangerous place in the Civil War. America was in a dangerous place at the founding of our nation, and America pulled through because of the founding principles of America. That's why I don't want to uproot the Constitution. That's why I don't want to uproot the Bill of Rights. That's why I still believe that God has endowed the individual with certain inalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and government is to protect those rights. And when we flip it upside down, tyranny begins to take place. And yes, a lot of this dangerous activity is taking place because of the internet and because of technology. However, internet and technology in itself is not evil and it's not wrong. The internet came and nobody was going to stop it. AI, artificial intelligence, is coming. It's on the rise, and it's not just waiting down the road. It is here right now. And it's not evil in itself, but it is bringing both good and evil, just like the printing press did. During the time when the printing press came on the scene, there was people that was definitely afraid of it. As a matter of fact, during the dark ages, there were some that wouldn't even let you hold a Bible in your hand. Under Canon 14, if you were found with a Bible in your hand, you could be excommunicated, or you could be executed. And so if you had a Bible in your hand, that was wrong. And so they were able to put people into silence, and they were able to keep people from expressing their thoughts and expressing their views. But yet the printing press, it did evil on one hand. It spread communistic ideology throughout Europe, and it began to help formulate communism, socialism, and on the other side, fascism. And then we see that that did help usher in World War, because now things were being printed and they were being circulated. As a matter of fact, Vladimir Lenin is not even his real name. That's a pen name. And he was writing letters. He was using printing press and that, and they were printing out their letter and they were getting it into the hands of the people, and the minority became the majority. So yes, there's evil in technology, but at the same time, it put Bibles in the hands of people. Social media is the same way. There's a lot of evil things that's coming out of social media today. However, that does not make social media evil as either, because we can put good out. And so AI is on the rise, and it's going to be a mixture of good and evil. And so therefore, I think it's very important we learn how to balance this. Because while I understand the dangers of AI, and I do not believe that AI is the Antichrist, but I do believe it's going to help the spirit of Antichrist in our world. But AI is here and people are going to use it. And I felt challenged in my heart because there is a saying that a lie can get around the world faster than truth can put his pants on in the morning. And I felt convicted. I felt like the only reason that's the case is because we let it happen, because we want to be afraid of all the technology. So we let all those that want to use it for evil use it and spread their evil around the world while we're hiding in a corner. When I don't believe that was God's intent ever. I believe that we were made for the battlefield of ideas and ultimately the battlefield over the spirit and the soul. And so if evil people are going to use AI technology to spread evil, then I think we should be using it to spread good into the world. So I believe in the usage of AI technology, and I believe it's essential that America wins the race to AI, because whoever wins the race of AI is going to win the battlefield of the world. They're going to become the superpower of the world. And I don't know about anybody else, except for maybe LeBron James and some people in Hollywood. I don't really want China to be the superpower of the world. I really like being able to wake up my kids on Sunday morning, go to church, and not have to hide out. I really like the fact that I can wake up my kids and we can go to the house of God. We can preach this gospel. We can pray. We can worship. We can praise our God. And I don't have to hide out underground from the authorities like they have to in China. So I really like that. I would love for China not to become the superpower of the world. I would love for there not to be an allegiance from Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, and uh, Hamas and other ones in the Middle East, Iran, that hates America and hates Israel, becoming the superpower of the world. I would rather that not happen. So the only way we make that not happen is America must win the AI race. It's very essential for the well-being of America that we win the AI race. So as much as I'm afraid of some of the dangerous things of AI, we cannot cower in the race and let China win and let our geopolitical threats win. We must win the race in AI. And I thank God that President Donald Trump understands this importance. He understands how essential it is. And if everything comes to pass like he wants it to, I believe he'll go down in history as being the AI president. And I believe he'll be recognized in the history books as being one that was used for the saving of the future of our nation. So as much as I believe there are dangerous things in AI, we must learn AI at the same time, because yes, there does come job displacement. I got an article that I'm about ready to put out. I want to go ahead and give you the sneak peek of the article, because this really puts the understanding of the balance of AI here for you. Um, the age of AI is here, whether you're ready or not. Every few generations, humanity gets hit with a revolution that changes everything, not just how we work, but how we think. The Industrial Revolution replaced muscle with machinery. The digital revolution replaced calculators with computers. And now the artificial intelligence revolution is replacing routine with reasoning. It's not coming someday, it's here. It's in your phone, your car, your finances, your church, and your government. And here's the hard truth: those who ignore it will work for those who learn to control it. AI is not the enemy, but it can become one. Artificial intelligence isn't inherently good or evil. It's a tool, just like fire, money, or power. But like every tool, it reflects the hands that hold it. Used right, AI can be a force multiplier, creating opportunity, efficiency, and innovation at a level humanity's never seen. Used wrong, it becomes a silent tyrant, tracking, predicting, and manipulating society until freedom becomes a programmed illusion. That's why discernment matters. We can't afford to fear it, but we also can't afford to ignore it. Fear blinds, wisdom builds. When the printing press was invented, people said it would destroy truth. When the telephone arrived, they said it would destroy community. When the internet came, they said it would destroy humanity. And yet, every time, the innovators, the learners, the forward thinkers found a way to build something greater. The difference between panic and progress is perspective. You either complain about disruption or you learn to leverage it. The people who got crushed by the Industrial Revolution weren't necessarily poor, they were stubborn. They refused to adapt. AI will do the same thing to our generation if we don't wake up. So let's talk about caution without cowardice. Let's be honest. AI can get out of control fast. It can replace jobs, rewrite truth, and desensitize human connection. It can even rewrite history and morality if the wrong people feed it the wrong data. But the solution isn't fear, it's leadership. We need fathers, pastors, CEOs, and educators who will set boundaries, who will teach responsibility, and who will lead the values, not vanity. Caution doesn't mean avoidance. It means using wisdom before the world uses you. Learn it before it learns you. We are moving into a world where AI will write laws, analyze wars, negotiate contracts, and even predict elections. If you don't understand how it works, you become a digital slave to those who do. That's not conspiracy, that's reality. So the choice before every family, business, and church is simple. Do you fear the technology or do you train the technology? Because make no mistakes, the people who master it will lead the next era of economics, media, and ministry. But the people who rely on fear will watch their influence fade into history. Faith and innovation equals dominion. Scripture says, occupy till I come, Jesus' words himself. That means take ground, not hide from it. AI should not scare the church, it should sharpen it. It should challenge us to communicate truth faster, steward time better, and reach the world more effectively. Technology is not the problem. A lack of moral leadership is. We can have progress without perversion if we lead with principles. It's time to build, not bow, to create, not copy, to lead, not lag. There's a new mandate. You don't have to be a coder to control the code. You just have to have the courage to be encouraged to learn. Learn the platforms, learn the tools, learn the systems, and then guide them with your values, your convictions, and your vision. Because AI may write faster, but it can't dream. It may calculate better, but it can't care. It may learn everything, but it can't know God. That's your edge. That's your advantage. And that's why this revolution, like all others before it, will ultimately belong to those who lead with wisdom. It's very important that we understand the balance of AI technology. We can't hide from it. At the same time, we can't become a slave to it. So I have boys that I'm letting them learn how to use AI technology, but I tell them, you're not going to use ChatGPT. You're not going to use any form of AI unless you have the vision first. You have to, if you want to create any kind of story, if you want to create any kind of script, you want to create anything, you have to envision it first, and you have to use it as a tool, not allow it to make you the tool. And that's the difference. In America, we must win the AI race, because if we don't, China's going to win it. And China's principles and China's values and China's vision is going to be the superpower of the world. I want the principles of the West. And I understand that there's been many trying to deconstruct and destroy the principles of the West. However, whatever resemblance of our American founding, and especially the principles of God's word that we have, I want that to be the influence of the world. I would rather have it in the hands of those that believe in our founding principles than those that want nothing more than to run the church underground and create a humanistic society where they begin to become tyrannical and put their boot down on their people. And so it's important that America wins the AI race. Now, the problem is that we're lagging. We're lagging in America. Do you understand that China owns 85% of the rare earth minerals, and China is beginning to tighten up on them, which means that we're not going to have the chips that are necessary for the robotics, for the vehicles, and all of that. This is why And as a matter of fact, we have the capability. We do have rare earth minerals, but the problem is it's up there in Alaska. It's going to take decades to excavate and to mine out. And so um, this is why President Donald Trump was trying to bargain and use the art of a deal to try to get Greenland, because Greenland is already mining out those rare earth minerals. And this is what his negotiations with Ukraine was all about, so that we can get some of that rare earth minerals and make them pay off some of their debt that they should owe us, because we've been helping them fight this war and we've been funding them. So there's many people that are saying we need to quit spending billions and billions of dollars into Ukraine to help them fight this war. Well, I have a better idea, which is the Trump idea. Why don't we use the rare earth minerals? Because President Trump is trying to get off China dependency. That's what tariffing is all about. That's what getting Greenland was all about. That's what the deals with Ukraine is all about, because he understands that China owns 85% of the rare earth minerals, and also they own a lot of the medicines that we use today. And so he understands that we must reshore those manufacturers. We must reshore those things here. We must be able to start mining out and getting rare earth minerals. We need to try to bargain a deal to hopefully get Greenland, to hopefully get a deal with Ukraine, so that we can get those rare earth minerals, so we're not dependent upon China. And so that way, with tariffs and all of that, and to deregulate on businesses and slash the regulations, slash the taxes, and create incentives to bring those manufacturers and those companies back into the United States of America, we can get off China dependency. We don't need their farmlands. We don't need their groceries. We don't need their chips. We don't need their rare earth minerals. We don't need their medicines. And so many people were demonizing President Trump and saying, we can't do it. It's too hard. It's too hard. Well, as long as we're enslaved to China, when they cut off the faucet, what do we do? So President Trump understands the value for the future of America, that we need to win the AI race. We need to get rare earth minerals, and we need to reshore manufacturing back to our nation again. And due to China tightening up, the stock in rare earth minerals has skyrocketed overnight. The Pentagon spent $1 billion for emergency orders in rare earth minerals, which means that they're gearing up for something. JP Morgan Chase announced a $1.5 trillion investment plan for security and resilience. This is for AI, defense manufacturing, and rare earth materials. You see, they're gearing up. They understand that we are in an AI battlefield. In Europe, the Dutch government has taken control of Chinese-owned chip company Nexpora. Now, we can talk about whether that's right or wrong, but they understand the threat that is coming. And we also see that China is constructing up to 40 nuclear plants a year to power its AI farms. Now, Trump is wanting to bring manufacturing back over into America and get off China dependency. And he wants to win the AI race. And it takes a lot of energy to do that. So he wants companies to be able to build their own little nuclear plants, not only supply the power that they need, but also to supply power into the United States of America. Because there are some that's going over and they realize that China is outdoing us with their nuclear power. And they're able to win the AI race because of the nuclear power. And so President Trump is trying to tariff China, trying to reshore businesses back over here, was trying to get Greenland, was trying to broker deals so that we can get rare earth minerals from Greenland as well as Ukraine, so we can get off China dependency. We can win the AI race, and we can begin to empower our nation as well as supply power to our nation. And so for everybody that thinks he's radically crazy, he's actually got a brilliant plan. The problem is the radical left is always fighting him because they have Trump derangement syndrome. It doesn't even matter. I mean, if Trump and RFK comes out and proves the fact that Tylenol might be causing young children to have autism, I mean, you'll have radical leftist liberal ladies with Trump derangement syndrome taking a whole bottle of Tylenol and drinking it down just to go in the face of Donald Trump. The world does this with them. They have Trump derangement syndrome so bad. President Trump brokered a great peace deal in Gaza and brought 20 Israel hostages back home. And now they're going into phase 2. And many said it was impossible. While he was doing that, Canada's prime minister, Australia, UK, they were coming out and recognizing a Palestinian state, going wildly in the face of Trump, which was terrible, because they were fueling the Palestinians to side with Hamas that was getting them slaughtered. And yet in their Trump derangement syndrome telling him there's no way we can do that. You're going to cause the war to continue. And yet Trump comes along and brokers a great peace deal in Gaza. Maybe we should give him a little bit of benefit of doubt that he's not as wildly crazy as people thinks. Many people said, well, he's just trying to take Greenland because he's just trying to expand and he's just trying to dominate because he's a bigot and he's a fascist and he's just Adolf Hitler wanting to take over the world. No, Trump understood that we are dependent on China and we must get off China dependency. And the only way we can do that is we must win the AI race. And so if he would have got Greenland, it would have been good for them and good for us at the same time, because Trump realizes to win the AI race, we must have rare earth minerals. And that's why he was trying to broker a deal with Ukraine as well. Now, some say, well, he's trying to bully Ukraine. We don't even have to help them. We are not obligated to fight their battle. We are not obligated to fund their battle and their war. If it's not in America's best interest, we are not obligated to do that. However, Trump understood that it was wrong for Vladimir Putin to invade Ukraine, and they are an ally, so we can help them at the same time they can help us with rare earth minerals. This is how leaders used to broker deals. Now we have an over-diplomatic society that we demonize that, but Trump is looking at America's future and trying to save the future of America. Now, we know that there's only one that can save the future of America just as much as he's the only one that can save anybody, and that's Jesus Christ. And I'm praying that Jesus will use Donald Trump for the saving of the future of America, because we know the church is always going to stand the test of time. Upon this rock, Jesus said, I built my church. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it. You can put the church in communist China. You can put it in fascistic under Mussolini, under Hitler. You can put it anywhere. The church will stand the test of time. However, that doesn't mean the republic will. And I want a strong republic for multiple reasons. I want my children to inherit what it's like to live in America's free land, the land that some people will go across shark-infested waters to try to come here because of the American dream, that if you work hard, you can have a better life than what much of the world will allow you to have. I want my kids to know what it's like to live in the beautiful America that I grew up in, that many are trying to rot out from the inside out. I also want them to know what it's like for them to wake up my grandkids on a Sunday and take them to church, not having to hide from the authorities. And if you think that won't happen here, that's what they thought in Russia. That's what they thought in China until they woke up and it was too late. And so we must fight also for the republic. Because if we don't, yes, we'll still win souls, but it's not as easy to evangelize and spread the gospel when you have to do it in secrecy. And many people take for granted what we've been blessed with, and they demonize Trump and call him a madman when Donald Trump is looking at the future of America and realizes that we are going to become enslaved to China. China is going to become the superpower of the world if they win the AI race. And right now they are in the lead, it looks like. And so he understands that we have to make hard decisions, but we must win the AI race. Because as you can also see, they're wanting to get off the US dollar. They're wanting to take an alternative route. Eventually, they would like to create a currency that is built off the AI, away from the American dollar, away from the trust in our system, get away from gold altogether and go towards an AI digital currency. And so there is a battle over digital currency. And that's why the U.S. was actually wanting to push digital currency. And you find that Janet Yellen underlying Biden would come out and begin to hurt cryptocurrency by coming out against it. However, cryptocurrency is the best way to go because we will have to have digital currency probably one day, but we better do it encrypted so that the government can't just put their hands on it and redistribute it however they want to. Whether we like it or not, we are in an AI race, and America must win this AI race. And that's why people have to understand Donald Trump is not trying to act like a crazy madman. He's trying to save the future of America. That's what the whole argument over Greenland was about. That's what it was about, trying to broker a deal with getting rare earth minerals, from Ukraine. And I pray that we successfully do it. Now, here is a concern I have. We are fighting for the republic, but at the same time, there are technocrats and the government that are merging together, and we're seeing this private-public partnership beginning to rise up again. It used to be social media and the government, because the radical left that used to hate the capitalists have realized that they can use the capitalists to push down their wish list onto the American people through corporations or through unelected bureaucrats. So their Marxist globalist ideology has actually been blended with fascism. This is what Biden was doing with OSHA when he was empowering OSHA to go after businesses and fine businesses 70,000 to 114,000 or whatever dollars every penalty for people not getting the COVID jab. And so what they were doing is they were using the corporations, unelected bureaucrats, to put their boot down on these corporations to force it upon the people, because your Constitution protects you from big government, not from big corporations. Thank God the Supreme Court ruled in the right way and ruled in the favor of those that didn't want to just take forced jabs without any scientific data to back it. And so it's the radical left that's blending Marxism and fascism together to try to press it down on the people. And we've seen that there was a public-private partnership. There was the UN 2030 agenda. There was the Great Reset ideology. And now with President Trump, we see that BlackRock is not doing the same things it used to do. He's done a great job at breaking that all up. But now what we find is there's technocrats that are rising up, and they're joining league with the government. And now we're having this public-private partnership to press that down on the people. And I believe that's a very dangerous thing. And I don't have the solution. I don't know how we get out of that. But one thing's for certain is we need the right people to be controlling the AI. And we need it to be our servant, not us be its servant. Now, I have a theological view that the church is going to sing the song, the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdom of our God and of his Christ. And when God comes back, Jesus comes back and purges the earth from all the wickedness, I believe what they're building now will be ours just as much as when the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and all of them were building houses that Israel did not build and planting vineyards they did not plant. God one day would purge out the land of Canaan and hand it over to the Israelites. And I believe that same thing is going to happen when Jesus Christ returns again, and he purges his earth, and the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Heaven is his throne and earth is his footstool. And so everything they're building is going to be purged. And for us, so I don't think we should fear it. I think we should learn how to properly use it. Just like we have to learn how to properly use the internet and cell phones, we don't have to learn how to properly use AI. So I think there's a balance there. And I'm saying this because those that learn AI can go from the bottom to the top. Listen. You may be just scraping by right now, pinching pennies and trying to pay bills. But if you learn AI and you learn how to use it to do whatever dream you have, whatever vision you have, and you learn how to use it to be your create things that is locked in your mind that you didn't have the finances to be able to build, but now you use it to your advantage, you can become one that goes from the bottom to the top without losing your moral compass. That's what we need in America. We need people like that learn how to use it properly. That's the people I want to use it. So if you have biblical convictions, yes, understand the dangers of AI, but get out there and learn how to do it and learn how to use it so you're using it faster than some radical crazy person that wants to tear down our nation and rip the Bible out of our nation. And so I beseech everybody, stay true to your convictions, but also learn how to use these things to spread the gospel, to spread right principles, to spread conservatism in our nation. Don't hide from it. Learn the dangers of it. Try to refrain from the dangers of it and use it to spread good in the world. Well, America, I love you. And we know the church is going to be here tomorrow because greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. But if the republic hasn't totally been burnt down by tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow on the Revealed Report. Have a great evening.